Okay, now welcome
We
back,
are
everyone.
live.
Yeah, this is the episode 73.
73.
Yeah, okay, welcome back to the show, guys. All right, so as you know, this is the Three Marketeers Show. We go live every Wednesday night, Malaysia time at 10 p.m. And
Yes.
we discuss about digital marketing and entrepreneurship and anything that we are interested in, right? So basically, we have good guests coming in. Like tonight, we have Ed from the state, and Ed is going to talk about email delivery, deliverability. I find it difficult to pronounce this one. So, guys, if you have any
Welcome,
questions
Ed.
about email, okay, yeah, welcome, Ed. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining
Great
us.
to be here, guys.
Right. So, guys, if you're watching this, if you have any questions, remember you can post them in the comment, and we will bring it up and basically to discuss about your questions or any situations that you are facing right now. So, tonight's topic is definitely something that Andrew is more familiar with. So, Andrew, would you and Ed is Andrew's guest, right? Anyway, so Andrew, can you help us understand? Like, can you help introduce Ed to our audience over here so that we know a bit of background about Ed, please?
Sure. I came across Ed when he was one of us guest speaker. I don't know, was it Inbox 2020? It was definitely within this
Yeah,
1 2 years
Inbox
period.
2021.
2021? Right.
Yep.
So, when it comes to the topic of email deliverability is a slightly technical. This is a technical side of the email marketing. The writing is the art side of it. So the thing with email deliverability is very dry subject. It's very technical, and I was doing a lot of research, and most of the contents on the internet is kind of confusing, right? You talk about authentication and all those things, but when I attended the Ed's session, he made it very simple. And to me, is my judgment is if somebody can make something complex simple for an average guy to understand, then obviously he knows his stuff, all right? So that's how then I followed him. I got connected with him on LinkedIn. We became friends in a short period of time, obviously because we share the same kind of passion for the way we do things. And that's why I figured it would be a great time to actually invite Ed. He's in Michigan. It's 9 o'clock in the morning now. Is it time? 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah, 9.
9 in the morning. And I think it would be a great addition to our roster of guests and to talk about email deliverability. And hopefully within this 1 hour, you'll get enough value as I've gotten from him and to help you with your email marketing. Ed, welcome. Thank you so much and welcome to the show. Glad to have
Thank
you
you
here.
for inviting me, guys. 73 episodes. That's incredible. You guys do a great job.
Thank you. I mean, probably we had nothing to do, actually. Nothing much to do because we went through this pandemic and lockdown, right? And now the numbers in our countries is really rising again.
Yeah, we were debating, the reason why whether we should move our timing from 10 p.m. our local time to slightly earlier because it's kind of like close to late. But one thing we realize is, as we go international, we have more guests. It's pretty much a sweet spot because it's early on the other side of the hemisphere, and then it's almost here. So I think we're going to stick with 10 p.m. So Ed, tell us, what got you into this business?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, interesting. I've been doing email marketing for over 20 years.
Wow.
I started off using this desktop app called Postmaster, and it would send out just volumes of emails. It wasn't designed to do any type of automation at all, like triggers and send things based on actions that you would take, like the type of automation that we see in programs now. But I was able to duct tape it in a way that would do those things. So here's what I did when I first started doing emails. So I sent out emails to realtors. We had a product that we sold for realtors, and then we had some consulting on top of that. The product sold for, I think it was about $300. So I have my list of people to send emails out to. I send the emails out to them. They would get the email. They'd have to reply back to that email. I would then send them an order form. They would get that order form. They'd print it out. They would fill it out, and then they'd fax it back to me. A lot of work. No way you could do that now. No way you could do that now. But back
so
then,
a lot of people drop off. Yeah, a lot of people
yeah. It absolutely wouldn't work now. But when I sent those emails out, the fax machine, and I was using dial-up, so I had to have two different phone lines. The phone line, the fax machine would start working overtime in about 10 to 15 minutes. It was like printing money. It was just an amazing thing to do. And we got a lot of sales. I picked up a lot of clients, and I was totally hooked on email. A few years ago, fast forward, I was doing an email campaign, and this company came out with something that was new. It sent emails, it sent text messages, and it did ringless voicemail. I was pretty excited about it. But the problem was there wasn't any really good manual for setting it up. It was very kind of clunky. I was a beta tester, a paid beta tester. So I set up these sample campaigns. I had 7 email accounts that I owned and controlled. I set up the campaign. It took me a week to do the whole thing. I was pretty excited, and I sent the emails out. There was a sequence of 7 emails to 7 email addresses. And so I turned that bad boy on, and I waited. I didn't see any emails. Day 1, day 2, day 3. I checked the spam folder of all of the email accounts, and I see that 2 emails went into spam. And for that 7-day period of 49 emails that went out, none of them were delivered. They were nowhere to be found, and 2 were in the spam folder. So something's not right. They should show up. So I was talking to support, and they said, well, the emails went out, and that was it. Well, so what? They went out. They weren't delivered. And that's when I learned about email delivery versus email deliverability. Now, email delivery is the emails actually go out and they're delivered to your server. But the deliverability part is they go from your server, the mailbox provider server, into your inbox. And that part was not happening. And most people don't understand that. They'll sign up for email service provider, and the email service provider says the email delivery is 95, 98%, 99%. And all that means is when we send an email, we send it to your email provider server. They acknowledge that they received it, and that's as far as we can take it. So it goes to the server, but it doesn't get delivered to your inbox until your mailbox provider server sends that email to your client, to their inbox, whether it's the primary inbox, promotional inbox, spam, or some other folder. That's a lot of confusion, because we hear that all the time. Hey, my email service provider said our email delivery is 99%. And true. It's a bit deceptive, but it is true. But the only thing that counts is the email being delivered to your recipient's inbox.
Yep. It looks like in this case, in a normal physical world, it's like, you deliver a parcel, the delivery guy actually went to the office building, passed it to the receptionist. And as far as the delivery guy is concerned, he's done his job. Now,
Exactly.
The next question is the receptionist, whether she would actually assign it to the mailbox guys to send it up to your client's office. That's another thing, So if it goes to the wrong name or wrong address or whatever it is, and they decided not to deliver that to the guy.
That's exactly what goes on.
Yeah, I think Ed just answered this question, which is how we should actually started this thing. But anyway, I think it's actually very interesting. I find it very, I'm totally new to this. I thought it is supposed to be delivered in any way. So you're saying
There's 2 servers, by the way, right? There's 2 servers involved, right?
The ISP side.
Right. You've got the server for the ESP or email service provider that's sending the email to your client's server, which is their mailbox server. So think of it like Andrew brought a perfect analogy. I usually talk about it in terms of your mail. So you put your mail in the mailbox, it goes to your local post office. From their post office, it then goes to, technically, it goes to central processing. And from central processing, it goes to your recipient's a local mailbox, a mail office or post office. And from that post office, they sort the mail and they send it directly to you. The email works pretty much the same way. And so at any point in this process, it could get hung up. It could get blocked before it gets to your mailbox, to your post office. It could be blocked at central processing. It could be blocked at the recipient's post office, and the recipient post office may dump your mail in the garbage or deliver it to the wrong person or decide not to deliver at all. There's a lot of steps in the process. And just because you push send doesn't mean the person's going to get your email.
Yep.
Wow. That's really something new, I believe, even to a lot of people, even to myself. So what is really stopping or causing the problem of the email deliverability when it comes to this case?
Well, we were talking about this earlier, where you have to have these security keys in place properly. Your SPF, this is the technical side of email, SPF, DKIM, and now DMARC.
Yeah.
And these are records that show that you are the legitimate sender of the email. So that's important that you have these in place, because other services that we use the double verification, where you have you when you sign in, then you get a text message and you have to verify that you're the real person. Same thing with email. And one of the reasons why these precautions have been put in place is because it's so easy to hack an email account. I'll give you an example. My business partner, who's been doing email deliverability for over 8 years. He was the lead analyst for a company named Mailgen. And then they got bought by Pipedrive, but he was the guy there for 8 years. So I'm having a Zoom call with him, and we're just going over some stuff. It's fairly early on in our relationship. And he had access to almost all of my email accounts except for one. And he asked me about the one that he didn't have access to, so I gave him the name of it. He's typing away while we're talking. So not even really he's paying attention to me, and he's just casually typing. And then 3 minutes later, he says, check your email. And he had hacked into my account. He'd sent an email. He created an email account, sent me an email from that domain saying, I just hacked your account. I could do anything I want with it.
Oh,
and I'm like,
crap.
wow. While I'm watching him, it's like a magic trick. It's just the sleight of hand thing that he's doing. And he said, that's how easy it is for a hacker to hack into your email account. So what you have to have is you have these security keys in place that let the mailbox providers know that you are the authorized sender of that email. And if those things aren't in place properly, your emails will get blocked or they'll go to spam. That's where the initial problem happens for most people.
Okay.
Wow. Because another thing is this. Okay. Because all these like DKIM and whatever, all these technical terminologies that you were mentioning just now, to be very frank, I have all this set up with Andrew's help. I have no clue, seriously. But what happened to normal people? I thought the ESP is supposed to, the email service provider is supposed to help us understand this thing. But just, I want an honest opinion from you. Are these ESP doing a good job in helping people understanding this thing, setting this thing right?
No.
Why are they
not? Their responsibility they've put on the user, frankly. And there's no real good instructions, because what the ESPs do is they tell you how to install SPF and DKIM. Really, they don't really talk about DMARC very much. I'll explain how that works in a second. But they do it in terms of they are the only app that you're going to have connected to your email account. And so they don't take into account that you may have an app that for a contact form on your website that you're connecting to your email account. They don't take into account that you have a billing app that's connected to your website. They don't take into account that you have a proposal app that's connected to your website or anything else. So if you don't take account all of those apps that you have, this is where DMARC comes into place. It looks to see where anything that's connected to your email account is properly authenticated. And if there's one thing that's not properly authenticated, they block all the emails because it breached their security system. Think of it as a home security system that you have. You're trying to keep your home secure. So you lock your doors, you lock your windows. That would be DKIM and SPF. What DMARC does, it's like this alarm system that if for some reason somebody breaks into your house, breaks down the door, breaks in a window, the alarm goes off and everything gets shut down. And what we're seeing more and more of is the mailbox providers are looking to see whether you have DMARC set up. And there's 3 different settings for it. You can just have it in place. It does nothing. It's just like, I've got this alarm system on my house, but we never turn it on. Or you can have the emails go into quarantine, which means they're sent, but they're not delivered, or they can be blocked. And they're looking for that. Like, okay, they have DMARC set up, but it's not doing anything. And because of that, they may think, well, your email account's not that secure. We're going to put those emails in the promotional inbox if you're lucky, or we're going to put them in spam, which happens more often. And we're seeing that more and more. DMARC hasn't been around that. DMARC hasn't been around that long, but now they're saying that because there's so many people that can easily spoof or do phishing attacks on an email account, that they're looking to see whether you actually have DMARC set up and you have it to actually block a potential hacker that could get into your account and do some harm.
Wow. It sounds a lot to me, to be very frank.
and we were thinking that, get an email address and type your emails and press send and boom, that's it.
Everybody thought that's how it works. Everybody thought that's how it works.
Yeah, no question.
So what can we do in order to get all these things right? Is there any, but then again, okay, let's go to the next question. I think this will be very interrelated. I think we will talk about, some misconceptions that people have about email deliverability. I mean, when it comes to this, like part of what you mentioned just now is definitely nobody knows how to set all these things up because they don't understand the importance of having all this in place.
Yeah.
So what are the other things that we should be taking into consideration?
Well, I think one of the questions you're going to ask me is what's the trigger? How do you notice when these things pop up? So I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But one of the things I would recommend that people do is you hire someone that knows how to do this. And a lot of people try to do it themselves, or they say, webmaster, can you do this? And the webmaster has done set up. It seems really simple because there are DNS settings. And they seem like it's really easy, simple to set up, but there's so many things you can make a mistake on when you set these things up. And where you notice that you've got a problem is your open rates aren't where they should be. And I know we're going to talk about that in a minute, so I won't get into that, but you should hire someone that knows what they're doing to set these things up to begin with. We had a client, well, he ended up being a client. He was having very low open rates, I think 2%, something like that. And he set up his DKIM, SPF, and DMARC records himself. But because he missed something, he didn't set up his DMARC records properly. So I'm saying DKIM records, all these acronyms get confusing. He didn't set up the DKIM record properly. So the DMARC record that he set up for blocking emails were blocking all of his emails.
Yes.
And it was self-imposed. He did it himself. And so we said, we think this is what the problem is, but usually it's these security records plus something else. He was convinced that it was just that and only that. So he said, no, I don't need to hire you. I got it figured out. And we've checked for the last 3 months. He still has the same problem. And like, some people get too cheap. Like, I'm not going to pay you $200, $300, $500 to fix this problem, but I'm not getting my mail out, and it's wasting money on a subscription. Yeah. And plus losing business, because the longer somebody doesn't hear from you, the less likely when they finally do that they're going to actually respond to an email.
Very true. Very true. So since we're talking about this, right, guys, anyway, we're watching this and you may need help. This is the link that you can actually connect with Ed. This is his website, email open rate optimization.com. Very nice domain. So you can actually go over to his website and find out how you can connect with Ed and see how you can seek help to kind of like fix any problem. So one of the angles to look at, I think what you put up here, Ed, is if you have very low open rate, chances are you have some issue with your deliverability. Is that so?
Yep. Yeah, it's true. We came up with a metric, an 830 metric is what we call it. And this is after talking to more than dozens. I won't say hundreds because there's not that many. Dozens for sure of department heads of email deliverability, department heads of different ESPs. And even talking to the people at the mailbox providers like Outlook, higher ups in Outlook and Gmail. And what they're looking for when you send an email is a certain open rate. They can see what the open rates are, and they would like the emails that you send, your marketing emails, to mimic as closely as possible what the open rates would be if you were sending emails to a colleague, a friend, a relative. It's not going to be that high, and they realize that, but they want it to start approaching that number. Now, Andrew and I are friends. He sends me his newsletter all the time. I know him. I don't open every single one of his emails. If he sends me a personal email, I probably will miss one or two because I get so many that come in every day. But 80, 90% of the time, I'm going to see his email. I'm going to open it. They understand that a marketing email isn't going to get that high of an open rate, but they're looking for a percentage. So there's two things that happen. If you're going to send an email blast, that means you're just blasting your entire list, which is what a lot of people do. They shouldn't do it this way, but that's the way they do it. They're looking for an 8% open rate in the first hour. And if they don't see that, flags go off. And they could then assign you new sender IPs, which means that you're going to get your emails sent more often to the promotional inbox. Some of them are going to get the spam because you're on lower sender IPs. The other metric they're looking at is what is your overall average open rate? And they want to see a 30% open rate there. That's higher than the industry average, which is about 20, 22%. They're looking for better than that. And when we do email campaigns, I've got one account where I've had it since, with partners, I've had it since middle of summer, I think. The lowest open rate I've had for all the emails that we've sent, and we send out thousands, was 36%. That was the lowest. On average, it's between 44 and 58, maybe 60. I think this last couple of weeks, it was always in the 60s. There was 181. There was another one that was 76. But that is doing a couple different things. And I know Andrew talks about this. This is segmenting your list. This is creating tags and events so that you're not sending big blasts. You're not sending hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of emails at the same time. You're sending emails that are very specific, that are of high interest to the people that you're sending it to. They're emails that they want to receive. And so when you're doing that, and they're being dripped out, they're not being sent all out at one time. It's because they saw something, they took an action, and they saw an email and you sent it. They took some sort of action, they opened it, or they've opened and clicked on emails in the past. You sent something related to that. And so they're interested in it. And because of that, you have high open rates. And that's what the mailbox providers are looking for. There's all this automation that's available to you through MailerLite. I know that Andrew talks a lot about that ESP, very good ESP, Active Campaign. They know that you can send very specific emails to your list, which the mailbox providers consider them their clients, and they want their clients to receive relevant emails. So if you're not really utilizing the automation that's available to you with the email service providers out there, you're really hurting yourself over the long term. You could be getting much, much higher open rates than you're currently getting.
Wow.
60
I
plus.
think
That's interesting.
That's insane. That's awesome, man. So guys, if you're watching this and you need something to really kickstart, right? So what we actually picked up from Ed just now is, first thing first, if your open rate is low, as in like one digit, is definitely low. And Ed was saying that the industry standard is about 20 to 22%. But of course, he was saying that he has higher, even like an average of a 40 over, which is, I don't have it. Maybe one is the blue moon kind of stuff. But then again, that's where you have to gauge. And another advice that you have to really pay attention to, that Ed mentioned just now, is you have to use the so-called the segmentation, and you shouldn't be doing so-called a bulk blast to every single one of your subscribers. So you should learn and practice how to do all this. And of course, if you need help, this is a link that you can actually connect with Ed over here and to see how he can help you. But of course, we have Andrew who can actually look into if you're looking at some ESPs related challenges that you have, right? So yeah, I mean, that's a very good explanation, I must say, Ed. Thank you so much for sharing this. But then again, I want to quickly kind of like, bring us back to a very important question that people may have. Guys, if you have any questions related to email marketing or so-called email deliverability kind of stuff, feel free to pop your questions in the chat, and I'll be able to bring them up and to bring it over for Ed to help us to discuss whatever that that you have in terms of your concern. So,
Jason, just want to take a moment because I think we are not capturing the comments on
please.
on LinkedIn. I'd like to welcome our friends from LinkedIn, and we've got a question from Sarah Darlington. Accelerate now, right? And she mentioned about how can you protect against this. I think that is basically the email spoofing question that you talked about, Ed. And the second comment that she had was never run an outbound campaign from your corporate address, as deliverability is a problem and it can shut down your corporate domain. Okay. You want to take that on?
Yeah,
serious.
absolutely true. Absolutely. A lot of people do that, especially with cold email. They'll use their primary domain. What we recommend is that you have a secondary domain that you use, so like a .co version. But then if you're doing cold email, you also want to have added protection. So what we suggest is that you set up subdomains. And what we do for our clients, we'll set up 3 different subdomains. We'll use the first subdomain, and usually people get a little over aggressive with sending out cold email, and that email account gets burned. It gets the domain reputation, the sender reputation, sender IPs end up being lowered. And so your open rates, your delivery rates are much lower. You have to move to the next subdomain. But those subdomains are independent of each other, even though they're under the same domain. So you can blow one, then move to the next one and the next one, and we can create even more subdomains. Hopefully, we don't have to create more than 3. You've learned your lesson, and you're not making the same mistakes that are causing your account to go get blown out. If I might go back to what I said previously, because some of the numbers seem like video game numbers for geeky email marketing people, with 50-some% open rates and 70. I've even had 94% open rate before.
Oh my goodness!
And they'll think, "Oh, right, yeah, that's not real." And then I show them my account, which I have no problem doing, and they see the numbers. They're the high open rates, high click-through rates, 12% click-through rates, sometimes 20, 30%, 40% click-through rates. If you do things right, email is very, very, very effective. There's nothing that comes close. There's nothing that comes close.
Provided
I'm sorry.
The release that you actually send out is actually been nurtured, been warmed up. This scenario doesn't necessarily apply to cold first round outreach emails.
Yeah, my first email that went out to that list, and it was built all on LinkedIn, so it's a B2B list, was, I think, my lowest. It's at 36%. And now that we know the people on the list, it's 60. This past week, it was anywhere from 64 to 81%. Past 2 weeks, there were 8 emails, I think, sent out during the past 2 weeks. So it's getting to know your list. And I'll say this about that particular list: all of those are blasts, but there are blasts based on actions that someone has taken. So if I had a drip sequence going out, the numbers would be even higher. And we do some drip sequences with that account, and the numbers are higher. On average, here, well over 60% open rates.
Just asking one question. When you talk about drip campaign, I did it before. So you must use a marketing automation tool in order to do the drip campaigns. Tools like you can't. There's just no two way about it, right? Am I right to say that?
Yeah, you really do, because it's just too much work to try to do it by hand.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned you duct taped it, earlier when all these things are non-existent. I think the duct taping must be like crazy, a lot of work, man.
Actually, I was able to do some things with their program that they didn't build it for. The trigger that when I sent the email and they opened it and replied back to me, that then it automatically sent another email back out to them. That wasn't part of the program, but I figured out a way to make that work. And I think then they added it a few months later after I had shown them this is what I was doing.
I think not many ESPs still have that trigger when they reply to the email, isn't it? I've not seen it.
I don't think we have it in MailerLite.
So I don't think so.
Yeah, the probably the best if you're going to do an automation. I call it the needle in a haystack method. And so let's say you have something that you're trying to sell. You're going to send the first email to the entire list, and it's just a teaser. Maybe you're sending them to a video, or you're sending them to a post.
Right.
And then once they've clicked that, they've seen it, then you follow up automatically with another email. You put a delay so they have time to consume the information. So you know that those people are interested, and you follow up with an email to sell them appointments, whatever. We've done that several times where we're trying to book appointments, and the open rates on the follow-up email that happens are very high. They average 70 to 80%. I think the one that I mentioned, 94%, was that triggered email. And we book, I think, let's see, about half the people that email goes out to ended up booking appointments. And it's pretty consistent. And you can use that same approach for selling products. We do it in e-commerce for clients. We specialize more with B2B clients for setting appointments. But that two-step approach, at needle in a haystack, who in this list would be interested in this thing? We're not sure. Let's send out the generic email to the entire list. Whoever responds, then we're going to send out the sales email to those guys. And if it's written right, if it's short, concise, one step, what do I have to do when I get this email? Oh, the only thing that you can do is click the link, book an appointment. Then you get a high conversion rate.
I see. Okay. So the triggered email, yes, triggered email is definitely something that is more effective based on their
simple
own
automation, highly effective.
Yeah.
And you don't need to do a long, I mean, it's not rocket science. You don't need a very crazy, powerful system to do that. In fact, most ESPs now have it.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah,
they should have it, right?
Link triggers, yes. Link triggers, yes. Not replies, but link triggers, yes.
But which ESP has the reply trigger? Can we actually have a name, or is there anything?
Limless does it.
Mailchimp, the paid account has that. I think there's an inbox. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one? No, almost all that.
Mailchimp.
Okay. Yeah. All of the cold email apps usually have that. The reply trigger will trigger some.
For cold email, yes, but for inbound emails, I don't think so.
Yeah, because they're looking at link clicks for the normal ESPs. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, wow, very insightful. Seriously, I think that
this is new.
But did we answer? Your
Sarah, if you're watching, if we answer it, do let us know on LinkedIn. There's a slight delay, so let us know.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
It's really important to understand what you want to do with the email and picking the right platform for that. Because what we find a lot is people have the wrong platform for what they intend to do. And if you're doing a lot of outreach, you have to have an outreach platform, and you have to pick the right one, because you have to think in terms of what kind of automations do I want to use? How do I want to have a conversation with this person that I'm reaching out to that doesn't know me? And then if it's subscription email, you need to think through what type of actions that I want to have done. And if you're not sure, you should talk to somebody. It shouldn't be just used as an autoresponder where you're just sending out messages to people, because there's going to be people that aren't interested in some things and are interested in other things. You need to segment the list of what interests people have and only send those emails of interest to those people that have an interest in the one thing or another, and not send an email to somebody that has no interest in something, because that's going to hurt your deliverability over time. The mailbox provider is looking at how the people are engaging with your emails, how quickly after they get them are they engaging with your emails, how long are they reading the emails, are they clicking on something or not clicking on something. And if you have a good segment of people that aren't doing anything, they're ignoring them, they're affecting where your email is placed by the email provider. They're making a decision based on all of their customers, not just a small segment. So you want to make sure you have high engagement with every email you send to ensure that email continues to get in their primary inbox.
Awesome. There you go, guys.
Wow.
There you go.
But you did mention that I picked up just now. You did mention about cold outreach, as in there are some ESPs that are meant for that. That's really designed for you to do the cold outreach. And since we talk about that, right? Because this is something that some people do. I don't know, but what do you think about buying a list? as in like you probably buy a list from someone else or somewhere else, and then you start blasting to these people in any way that you can. So what's your take on this thing?
Well, there's several problems with that. First of all, these people don't know who you are, and they may or may not have an interest in what you're selling to them. Back when I did it, there were no spam laws. Everybody opened the email that they got because email was still kind of new and cool. And hey, I got an email. Who's this from?
Right.
People aren't like that now. So the first problem is the people don't know who you are. The second problem is you're probably going to get a very low open and
Conversion
reply
rate
rate.
also.
Yeah, very low engagement for those emails. And the worst problem that you're going to have is that you catch people on a bad day, they're just going to mark it as spam. And you're not going to know that because you're not in the feedback loop, but the mailbox provider knows. I'll give you at the end, I'll give you a resource so that you'll know what your spam rate is. But people marketing as spam now lowers your domain reputation. It'll get your sender IPs lowered also, and those sender IPs, probably a good idea to explain how those work. The IPs that send out your email, you're assigned a group of IPs by your mailbox provider or your ESP, and those IPs are the location in which your emails are sent. And you're either in a good neighborhood or you're a medium neighborhood or a bad neighborhood. If you're in a good neighborhood, high sender IP reputation, pretty much all your emails are going to get there. They're not going to look at the content. They're just going to say, this is a trusted email. It'll get open. It'll get delivered to your primary inbox. The medium quality IPs, then not only do they look at your domain reputation, they also look at the content that you're writing, and the content triggers could determine where your emails are going. A lot of people think, well, what are the spam words? Those only come into play when you're on a medium quality IP. If you're on a low quality IP, doesn't matter what you do, all of your emails are probably going to get put into spam. And then occasionally you'll get your emails put into the promotional inbox or the other inbox, but that's a place you absolutely don't want to be.
How do we know? This is really something that we have no clue about, right? What the hell?
Yes.
So it's like,
Yeah.
you're saying that we can't choose our neighborhood. We don't even know how to choose our neighborhood.
You think you're in a good neighborhood until somebody
I thought
tells
so,
you you're
right?
not.
Yeah, until I was like, seriously? I thought,
Oh, I thought my house was nice. Boy,
we
it's a
always
slum.
believe
Living in
that
a
we're in a
slum
good
and didn't know
neighborhood.
it.
yeah, because we are good people. You see, we don't spam people. We thought that we are supposed to be in good company.
Yeah.
So how do we find out?
Yeah, usually a couple different ways. You don't get put on a bad sender IP without something that you've done. And so usually your open rates, let's say, are in the 20s, 20, 25%, which is what a lot of our clients have been. And then all of a sudden you see either a dramatic drop. It went from 25% down to like 5-6%, or it's a steady decline. But if your open rates are in the teens, if they're in the single digits, it's almost guaranteed you have a problem and you're on bad sender IPs. 99% of the time, that's one of your problems. It may not be all of them. Usually, like I said before, it's usually your domain keys, maybe your sender IPs, but there's always something else. And the something else is something you have to try to figure out. And unless you know what you're doing, you should hire somebody to help you figure that one thing out and then decide what you need to do.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's
Just
really
just
so
to add
many.
something.
Yes, please.
Just to add something. One of my friend actually changed the mailing tool, so he got a lot of emails. So he moved it into Mailchimp. Then Mailchimp straight away questioned them, "How do you get all this email address? Can't even get started." So this one experience I want to share with you, and it happened not to one friend but at least two friends. So it can be that scary, because when you want to change the tool itself, the Mailchimp itself will question you, where do you get so much email address? Then I also don't know how to justify this because it's legacy, what I said. But they change the tool and it causes issues. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes if you have a problem with one mailbox provider and you want to switch to another one, they're wondering, why are you switching?
Yeah.
show us proof, because all of them, no one reads the terms of service because they're long. They're like a New Yorker article. They go
What is term of
on and on
service?
and
I have
on
no
for
clue.
pages. Yeah, right. Nobody reads that. But in for every ESP, every email service provider, there's terminology that's almost exactly the same, and that is they require that you have, when you're adding somebody to your list, it's a double opt-in. Sometimes they'll get away single opt-in, or you do an email pass where you're sending an email out to people and they physically say, yes, I want to be added to the list. Now, at any time that your email service provider can ask you, show me how these people have opted in. Show me documentation to prove that they opted in. And if you don't show proof, before they just kick you off, now they'll just lower your sender IPs because they still want the money from you. They want the revenue. They got the clue. They got a clue. Like, no, why are we losing money? Like, we'll keep their money. We'll put them on a lower sender IP. They don't know the difference.
Yes.
Most people have no idea.
Right.
If you got a 20% open rate, you think you're doing great because that's the average. Well, you're probably on a medium quality IP. Many of your emails are going into the promotional inbox. There's a good percentage that are going into spam. Your actual effective open rate is most likely double. I mean, an effective meaning the emails that aren't going to spam and aren't blocked are that are going to the primary inbox. If you took away or fixed the ones that were going to spam, your open rate is probably double. For example, marketing emails, the average percentage of marketing emails that actually get to the primary inbox is 49%. 51% of marketing emails never reach the primary inbox. So if you're like at 30% open rate, your effective open rate is probably closer to 60% because you have about half your emails aren't being delivered. You fix the deliverability, all of a sudden, we've seen clients increase profits by 1,600% just because we fixed email deliverability, and it wasn't a big percentage, a 10% change, 20% change, but because of the compounding, because most email people are doing campaigns, it's a compounding effect of a campaign of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 emails that are going out that result in a 800, 1,500, even a 2,200% increase in sales.
Sorry, Ed. I really appreciate that you have shared so much information with us.
You kicking me off now?
No, I'm not going to kick you off. I'm going to ask what Jason had been asking. How do we know as a user? ESP is not going to tell us. How are we going to know there is a huge potential how are we going to know?
Well, you really aren't going to know until you and maybe there's one thing that you can do. You can set up what we call seed accounts. So you open up probably 5 accounts with Outlook, 5 accounts with Gmail. But you look at the makeup of your list. If you have some people on AOL and Yahoo, you may want to open up a few of those accounts too. And then you want to start sending, you add those emails that you control to your own email list. And so when you're sending out emails, you want to look at the seed accounts and see where the emails are landing. It'll be a good representation of where your emails are landing for the rest of your list. And from there, you can tell, how are we doing? One of the services that we provide is we have a seed list of, I think, like 1,600 different email accounts right now.
Well, that's a lot, man.
1,600, yeah, a lot. And for people that are having problems getting their emails delivered, or it's a new account, what we do is then we add our seed list. Depending, we don't overdo it. We don't add all 1,600, but we add our seed list depending upon how big your list is to make sure that you're hitting that 830 metric. And then we'll do that for a month, sometimes a couple of months, and we open up all the emails. So every email that's sent to us gets opened, gets clicked. Sometimes we reply to them. It's whatever the client needs. And then let's say it's Outlook that you have a problem with it. And usually it's just one mailbox provider that's blocking your emails. It's an email box provider account by account. They do communicate with one another. So if Outlook, all of your emails are going to spam in Outlook, eventually Gmail will find out about it and they'll do the same thing to you as far as blocking or putting those emails in spam. But when they see us move, say, 200 emails that are going into our seed account, they're going into spam. We're moving them from spam to the primary inbox, and we're doing it over and over again. Then the mailbox provider starts realizing, wait a second, these emails are important to our users. They shouldn't be in spam. They should be in the primary inbox. And we start seeing the emails that were going into spam going into the primary inbox. And it usually takes about a month to do that. But you have to have a lot of emails like we do in order to pull that off. But if you have a seed list, you can tell where your emails are probably landing. For sure, I would have a seed list of Outlook emails and Gmail emails. And you may want to even buy a couple of premium accounts, like 1 or 2 premium accounts with Outlook, 1 or 2 premium accounts with Google Workspace. So Google Workspace accounts are $5 a month, no big deal. With Outlook, they do require that you buy, and it's an annual plan. It is $5 a month, but they want all their money up front. It is what it is.
Yep.
But that's the easiest way to figure out where your emails are landing.
Thank you so much for the tip, right? So guys, if you need help, seriously, this is just a tip of the iceberg. Basically, what are the things that you can do or you should do in order to improve your email deliverability? So if you need help, this is a link that you can connect with Ed to find out how can you work with him to see how you can actually improve. Like he mentioned just now, right? The compounding effect of the optimization is so big that it can actually increase your sales by tens of hundreds. I mean, like we were talking about 1,600 times in terms of increase in the revenue. It's huge, if you ask me.
It's incredible. There's nothing else that you can do that would increase sales faster if you're using email than fixing an email deliverability problem. We work with copywriters, really good copywriters, email strategists, and I've asked them, like, is there anything that you could do that would increase profits in a week, in a couple of days by 400%? And that's usually on the low end for us. And they go, no, there's nothing we can do that would do that. There's no copy that we could write that would have that effect that fast.
Yep. Because you're talking to people who know you and already on your list and given you permission to communicate with them. So, as opposed to a cold audience, the work is a lot more tougher.
I mean,
True.
if you don't mind, Ed, I would like to quickly push on Manfred's question a little bit. So,
Sure.
do you? I mean, just in your opinion, let's say, for example, if we have a few thousand subscribers, you're talking about going into a seed list to find out. But does it work if I start sending very specific emails for a couple of weeks or months, okay, only to those people who open a lot? Would that help in terms of improving the overall performance of?
Good question.
Yes. Yeah, it will. And if you're segmenting your list, and if let's say that you're just focusing on the people that have opened, ideally they've opened, and then you're sending very specific information to those guys, that will absolutely help. You'll have to do it for a little while, and then not for a month, but a couple of weeks. So you suppress the rest of the people on your list. You only mail to the people that have opened, ideally opened and clicked. And you send an email that's very specific to those guys that you know that they're interested in that topic. You're going to see a very high open rate, which will raise the overall average of your open rate, which is what the mailbox providers are looking at. So, okay, for the last couple of weeks, the open rate has been like 60-70%. That gets their attention, and then you'll start seeing more of your emails getting into the primary inbox of the rest of your list. You got to kind of slowly then work in the rest of the list. You don't want to do it all of a sudden, but that does work.
So that's how
to,
so that's how to, in a way, move your neighborhood. As in, like, from my goodness, seriously, this is really something that we have no idea. Seriously, to be frank, so many people are trying to use email right now. Like just now at the backstage, we were just saying because of the pandemic, so many people are using email, as in like onboarded to email marketing right now. But then again, they are so new to email marketing. We have no clue about all these things. This is definitely the higher level of email marketing. Guys, as you are watching this, if you're looking for solution for email deliverability that you're talking about just now, we have some answers that Ed helped us kind of like, addressed basically. But if you need help, here's the link. It's already there at the banner over here.
You guys are awesome. I love the plugs.
Yeah, man,
It's like an infomercial every 5-10 minutes. I get a plug.
We are marketers. We
I
are
have to, man,
marketers.
because
Yes.
I truly believe a lot of people need help, to be frank. I truly believe a lot of people need help. So, here's the
I'd
link.
live on your show here. I always always be on your show.
So the biggest problem is no longer selecting ESPs. It's how you manage your domain. It's how you send your emails. That is a lot more. There's a bigger issue. And I think one of the common misconceptions, just to go back, is the responsibility to do this is not with the ESP, it's with you.
That's very true. A lot of people think, why isn't my ESP taking care of this?
Correct.
It's not their job.
Yeah. Just
It
because
used
I
to
pay
be.
money to them. Yeah, it used to be.
It used to be. I think what's happened is that because there's so much liability and they have so much to lose if something goes wrong with your account that they just won't touch it.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that you have to do. Like, for example, your security keys. You need to use that happens with your registrar, or if you're using another place to hold it, host your email, like or host your website, like a pass through, like Cloudflare. Then you enter in, or you change your DNS records there. That has nothing to do with the ESP. That's not on their website. So they're not going to go to somebody else's website and make changes that you need to make in order for your emails to work. That's on you. That's on you. That's your responsibility. And they don't know what other apps you have. If you have a contact us app, or if you have a billing app, or you have any other apps connected to your email account, they're not going to ask you. Yeah. But those have to be accounted for. And so it becomes a little more complicated. A lot of people jump into email because of the high cost of running ads on the social platforms. It's just becoming overly expensive, and they're looking for alternatives, organic, ideally, or alternatives. Email is probably the best organic alternative, but there's a lot of rules that have come with email that didn't exist even 2 years ago that you have to pay attention to.
Correct. Just a quick shout out to Sarah. She has a few questions. Sarah, thank you so much
Sarah.
for responding. We can't display your questions on the screen, but her question is: Do you measure open rates by each message or by whole cadence?
By each message. I think with cold email, which can be deceptive, they look at the sequence. So you send out 5 emails, and most of the time I hear like my open rate was 72% or 85%. But you got to divide that by 5. So what's your effective open rate average for each email? That's why cold email is so tricky. That it's designed because you're taking the total of a campaign, what the open rate is, and you're applying that number to what your percentage open rate is. Let me use a better number, easier math. Let's say your open rate is 80% over a 4 email sequence. Well, divided by 4, that's 20%. Yep. That's well under the 30% average metric that we need, and the mailbox providers looking at. So it's just a matter of time before your emails start going into the primary or the promotional inbox. And if it's cold email and the person doesn't know you, they're not looking in the promotional inbox to open your email. It might as well be going to spam. So you really need to look at how you write your cold emails. You probably need to reduce the number of emails that you send. If you're sending like a sequence of 5 or 6, we recommend getting it down to 3, and you want to make sure that your open rate is higher. The other thing that we see with subscription email is sending an email to the people that didn't open. And they'll say, well, these people didn't open. Maybe they didn't see it. Maybe it was sent at the wrong time of the day, so I'm going to send it again. The open rate on those emails are usually, at best, half of what the original open rate was. And then you combine the average of the two. Let's say the open rate for their first email was 30%. You send the second email to the unopens. That is a 15% open rate. That's 45% total. Divided by 2, you're at 22.5. Now all of a sudden you're under the 30% metric. Yeah, you picked up all these other people, but what you're doing is you're eroding your domain reputation, and you're eventually going to be put on lower sender IPs. So yeah, you had an early win, instant gratification. Now over time, you've eroded your domain reputation, and then all of your emails are going to have a problem being delivered to the primary inbox.
But the main
Short-term win, long-term loss.
Yeah.
The main thing is we don't know that we've been lowered. No one tells us, right?
Yeah, right. And the excuse that I hear a lot of people say is that the bigger your list gets, the lower the open rate is. That's just not true. We have clients with list sizes of over 1 million, and we have open rates that are in the 40s, 50% range with them. So the myth that the bigger your list is, the lower your open rate is it's just a myth. It's not true. It's being lazy and careless with your email marketing.
Correct. Just because you have 1 million subscribers, very likely that they don't send to 1 million emails every day or every week anyways. They probably
they segment their list. Right.
It's a very important thing to do. It seems like that's the best thing that you can bet on right now, right? So guys, I mean, we are already coming to the end of the show, but do we have more questions from Sarah?
I don't know, really.
Yeah.
I thought we're just getting started. No, Sarah, do you have any other questions?
Okay, so I just want to make sure that we didn't miss this. But I think I would really like to round this up to one very important question, which is like, let's say if somebody is totally new to email marketing, what are the steps to ensure a slightly more healthy deliverability rate? Is there anything that we can do as a newbie to at least have a good head start?
Yeah, well, the first thing that you should do is really research the ESP that you're going to use, the email service provider you're going to use, and have in mind, like, what am I going to do when I'm sending these emails? What's the purpose of what I'm doing? Once you've picked the ESP and you've properly set up your security keys, you want to set up SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, all three of them, and set DMARC for quarantine or reject. The next thing that you want to do is set up your email account on Google Postmaster Tools, Google Postmaster Tools, so that you can monitor your domain reputation. If you have a problem, then reach out to someone that can help you. But if you do those three things, you should be okay. Make sure that you're sending emails that people want to receive. Understand how to use email automation. Segment your list. And send out emails to people who actually want to receive the email that you're sending.
Yeah,
fundamentals.
These are all fundamentals, but important things to do. To be very frank, I'm guilty for being lazy. At times you just don't have time to figure out all the automations. It's like, okay, man, they're just gonna let it go.
Just tell everybody who wants to listen and who happens to have a pair of ears, then we're gonna tell them. Yes.
Yeah, but now that we know that we can be put into a kind of like a low sender IP or whatever, without us knowing it. All of a sudden we move into a bad neighborhood. What the hell?
Somebody decided to degrade our postcode.
So that's better. That's
this reminds me of the Google Search Console where your search suddenly disappeared when you are being associate a lot of spammy links. But at least that the Search Console you can go in and see. This one you don't even have it.
Yeah, man. Somebody please come up with a tool that actually let us know, or somehow we can pay to monitor. Right? I don't mind to pay.
Yes, especially in our line of business.
Yeah, because I totally agree with Ed.
Speaking of tools,
important.
Any tools that you want to share with us, Ed?
Oh yeah.
Any tools of the trade?
The big one is Google Postmaster Tools. Everyone should connect their email account to that for sure. If you're concerned about the quality of the content. If you have a content problem that's causing your emails to go to the promotional inbox or go to spam, sendforensics.com is a good tool to use. I would just use the free version. The paid version isn't going to give you any better insight into what you're doing, but you'll know when you send an email, you take your email, you send it there first. It's going to give you a score to let you know what the likelihood of your email being delivered is going to be. You can just make tweaks to it and resend it until you're at an average score of 80% or higher. And then you can be pretty confident, as long as your sender IPs are good, that you're going to get into the primary inbox. Takes a little time to do it ahead of time, but after you do it a few times, it's like 10, 15-minute exercise before you send emails, and it'll be totally worth it.
Okay, now guys, I've already posted.
Yes.
Yeah, I am trying to pull the Send Forensics. That's the first tool that Ed recommended, which is the Google Postmaster. So if you're watching this on, if you're listening to the podcast version of this, right, basically don't worry, just Google Postmaster and you'll get there. But then again, if you guys are watching this, I'm just gonna put this out. So another tool recommended.
I'll just send you to the private chat.
Send Forensic.
Send Forensic. Yeah, I'm gonna put it up on the, basically on the link over here, just so that everybody can see.
It's very interesting.
Okay, let me send this to.
Okay, I'm just gonna quickly bring it up. So yeah, quick job over here. I have quick hands, don't worry. Take it off. All right. Well, yeah, really, this is one of the best episodes we have ever had, because it actually gives us so much useful information that we can immediately take action on and try to at least, increase our deliverability in terms of, just imagine you can compound you can increase your sales in a very effective way, like how Ed mentioned it. In a matter of days, you can actually just get more sales via email. So, yep. Is there anything you would like to share with us, as kind of like another piece of advice for email marketing beginners before we go, Ed?
Other than email is not dead. It really isn't.
Definitely.
It is still the most profitable marketing channel. For every dollar you put in, you make an average of $41, $42. If you compare that to Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, Google ads, you're not coming anywhere close to that kind of return on investment. If you do it right, it can be a source of windfall profits for anyone.
Yep.
So do your email marketing right. Once you have done all this digital marketing, like advertising and all that, email marketing is the best bet. So, yep. Thank you so much for all the insightful
this is
sharing.
cool, man.
This is
It's been my pleasure, my great pleasure.
It's really an honor to have you here. Thank you so much. And guys, we do this every Wednesday night. If you like what we do, just join us next week on Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Malaysia time. And we will have, different guests coming in to share different topics. We already have a few lineups. So I look forward to see you next week. Thank you so much again, Ed. And for everyone who's watching this, thank you and good night. I'll see you next week.
Join us in the backstage.
Yeah, join us in the backstage.
where we
Okay.
can continue the discussion.
Yeah, we guys. Good night. See you next week. Bye bye.
Good night.
Take care.